I know like some people may view like asking for help or even admitting mistakes as a sign of weakness. You argue that impact players, they tend to be some of the most coachable players. Like they're constantly leveling up. They're asking for help. They're in a way, to an extent, I guess, self-managing and raising the bar for the team. Could you elaborate on some of the habits that impact players employs that, in regards to asking for help?
Yeah. It's funny because I would have thought the impact players would have been these like steady contributors. Like I'm focused, I'm on it, I'm locked on to target. Like I'm going to get this done. And then it really is the opposite. It's like, oh, that's not working. Let me change plans. It's they're rangy and they're flexible on the field, so to speak. Like I think the thing that is probably the easiest practice for all of us to adopt is the practice of beating people to feedback. So you know how there's always like a scene in a movie where someone's breaking up with someone and they're like, like someone's breaking up and they're like, no, 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 you're not breaking up with me. I broke up with you. Like I broke up with you first. Like that's kind of what we're going to try to do here is like be the one to break up first, is like ask for feedback before someone has a chance to give it to you. Like be the one to ask first. And it's a matter of, because no one really likes to get feedback. People say, "Oh, I love feedback." People don't really love feedback. Most are like, "I love praise actually. I don't love feedback." But you know what we all love is we love information. And so and people don't like to give feedback either. Like most managers, even they're good at and they're trained at it, because it feels like we're judging someone like, "Oh, Michael, I'm having to tell you like you're not good at this or you didn't do that well." It never feels good. So it's reframing it from feedback to guidance and information, which is instead of asking for feedback on how I'm doing, like instead of saying, "Michael, give me some feedback on how I did," it's, "Could you give me some guidance so that I can do that better?" It's looking at guidance as just information we need, like a guidance system in a missile to help us calibrate. Like, am I hitting the target? Because impact is a function of energy and thrust, but it's also a function of the vector. Did we get the vector right? So it's like, give me information to help me not improve myself, help me improve my work. Like when I started to think of feedback as guidance I needed to make my work better, I became much better at receiving it, much better at asking for it, and honestly, much better at giving it. Like I'm not giving someone feedback like you did a good job or a bad job. I'm just giving you information you need to recalibrate.
And it seems like just from the standpoint of a leader, this is easier when there's trust, right? When someone's willing to be vulnerable, when they know that you're a person of integrity, right? So it's just, I guess the aspect of building trust is important here.
Absolutely. But in some ways, it's saying that what if there isn't trust? Like, because if I ask you, like, "Michael, give me some personal feedback," like I need to trust you for me to be able to receive it well. But if I'm just saying, "Can you give me some insight that would help me make this chapter stronger?" Like it's depersonalizing it to the point where it's just easier to give and easier to receive. It's a process that builds trust rather than requires trust as a prerequisite. But I mean, of course, we want managers to build trusting relationships with their staff.
And it sounds like if the leader is modeling these behaviors, so if the leader is asking for feedback, right? I guess in that way, perhaps it can encourage their team members to also see that that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. And, like asking feedback from the people you work with to the point where, and I guess what I'm saying is like, look for micro feedback, not like, "Oh, you know, it's the annual performance review. Like, tell me how I'm doing as a manager." Nobody wants to answer that question. But you could ask the question of what guidance could I give you that would help you do a better job on this? What's one thing you need from me that would allow you to like play bigger? Or it's modeling like a fluid form of leadership. If you want people to step up and lead, but also be able to step back and follow others, show what that looks like. follow maybe a more junior partner. Like let your team see you ceding leadership to somebody else and saying, oh no, I don't have to always be the boss. I'm going to follow this person who's more junior than me and I'm going to support, her in this project.